Some. And today, or to this evening, Chris is going to walk through a presentation. I'll let him tee it up, but Chris is super, he's out in Cincinnati, a really, really unique adopter of this technology. He has the largest ChatGPT users group on Facebook with over 250,000 people. He was also the first person to use Gen AI that I know of to get out of a criminal charge that he had for a building not being correctly or a claim to not be correctly put on. And he had, I think, a couple dozen briefings, both in the civil and criminal court, that he generated with a ChatGPT and got successfully out of those. So really, really talented and unique individual. And Chris, I'll let you finish the intro and turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thanks for having me tonight, Paul. Just absolutely great to know you over the last year. I met Paul because I started a Facebook group, ChatGPT for Business and Life. With that, I was a technologist. Just to give you a little bit of background on me, I started my tech career out of college right when social mobile sort of hit, and mobile phones. So mobile phones hit, social media hit, and that's when I started my tech career. I started with Facebook apps. Our team ended up with 10 million Facebook fan page app installs before the news feed. We got into programmatic ads, and that was a very exciting time. You know, in that 2000, I'd say 2009 to about 2014 was a very exciting time. Well, everybody then became social media managers, and technology sort of just leveled out until generative AI hit. So when generative AI hit, I really saw the writing on the wall that this was going to change essentially everybody's life. So I started the Facebook group, ChatGPT for Business and Life, which please join. We love working with Paul and sharing his content. So his morning Gen AI briefings, we poured into the group daily, so you can see those. And we just have a really nice community that if you have questions about AI, I definitely recommend you ask. And someone on our group or community, I'm sure, will try to answer. It's been a really nice opportunity from building this group that we've been able to meet a lot of great people. Not only Paul, but Alden, that's in the group where you heard of his custom GPT, and several other early adopters of AI. The earliest were probably software adopters, but now we're starting to get, educators and academics were early adopters of sort of AI. And then we got the people that really liked AI, like photo generation. So, teens to 20s that really liked to use AI. So we built this group and this community. And over time, what I found is that there's so many people that are going to have a personalized experience with AI that for me to help them individually would be very difficult. But if I would be able to build a platform that would be personalized to sort of where you're at in your AI journey, like what would that look like and how could I make that work? And that's sort of what brought us here tonight. So I'm going to demo sort of two things. I believe the link, can I get more info in the morning AI discussion? Yeah, it's definitely going to be shared in the group if Paul will answer any of those questions in the chat. I posted a link to the Facebook group, so you can join that. But what we're going to talk about tonight is AI online classroom. .com/TV. So I'm going to put this in the chat so you can play around with it while you're sort of listening to me go over it. And then I'm going to share my screen so you can see the essential platform. So if everybody can see my screen, I do believe it's up. What we're looking at is an AI for Netflix. What I found is that since everybody's coming into AI at a different place, how could we provide an experience in which no matter where you're coming in from, whether you're trying to use it in your daily life, if you're trying to use it for your business, if you're a parent trying to understand how to use it for your kids, if you're an educator, how do you use it? All of this group that I had of 250,000 people, how could I send them to a location that would be meaningful to them? And that is why we developed this Netflix for AI. So what we've been able to do is, keeping a human in the loop, curate AI-based content across popular culture across like Lex Friedman podcasts, let's say, and we curated even his podcasts that only the people that are really talking about AI are featured. All the TED Talks on AI that are relevant, we pulled in. Paul spoke about the MIT event last year. They actually had a second event last year, which was their Computer Science and Artificial Intelligence Lab's 60th celebration. It was sort of sponsored by Forbes, so all of the talks around AI from that event are here. So what we were able to do is curate documentaries, how-tos, do-it-yourself, conferences in one place and make it searchable just like Netflix. That way you would be able to find the content that you need without searching all over the internet or getting lost in a YouTube environment. It's no login right now is required. My game plan is to keep this as like a free system forever, hopefully. So if you're interested in checking out like GAI Insights and our morning daily brief, you just go into AI News and you're going to find the latest videos to watch. And this would be from this morning's news podcast with Paul and team. If you want to discover things about AI and you're just new to it, you can go into Introduction to AI, and we aggregated all the information in around videos that specifically solve what is AI and try to explain it to us. So you'll see information from like BBC News or the Royal Society or a quick learner AI video. So we curate these.
I didn't fart. That was my controller scraping across the table, just so you know. The table, just so you know.
I don't know if that was me. Hopefully that's turned off. But
right.
thought leader.
Paul, you got it. Paul, wait a minute. Time out. Paul, hit your security button. Turn off all of the possible things that anybody could do to, because you're going to have multiple occurrences of these bombers right now. So hit the security button. Turn off Yeah, you also have to disable people from talking, except if they raise their hand.
Okay.
And also disable the whiteboard. Oh, just hit the security button and hit the red button on the bottom. Hit the security button and hit the red button on the bottom.
RJ, what on you now?
Okay, so now what you do is basically you have to enable your guest speaker to do whatever they need to do. So you might need to right click on their name on their box, and then you probably need to allow them to chat. So you need to unmute them, and maybe you need to allow them to share or make them a presenter or a co-host. So you should be able to do that by right clicking over their name and at least be able to unmute them.
So Chris, can you hear us now?
Yep, I think I'm back.
All right. Well, that was a little excitement. We hadn't had that in a long time, so I'd obviously not configured this correctly. So thank you everyone for your patience and sorry for that shenanigans. So Chris, you were walking through.
Yes.
Can you share your screen? If I,
Yep.
Okay, we can see it now.
Okay, so
thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you, RJ, and apologize.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for helping us with that. So, as I was sort of saying, we wanted to create a place that we could send people to that they could find AI content that was very focused and around areas that they thought would be helpful for them. So we cover ethics and responsible AI, the philosophy of AI. We have gone to all the sites like OpenAI, Google, Anthropic, anything around Microsoft Copilot, IBM, all the major big tech brands, and brought in all of their video content in a way that's clean and focused. That way, if you want to learn about Meta and Llama models, you can. If you want to learn about Hugging Face, you can. If you want to learn about OpenAI, you can learn it directly from them. So we tried to bring in essentially some of the major platforms that are out there that you may find of interest. We also outlined hardware suppliers like NVIDIA, Intel, AMD, Cerebras, Kornami, and others. And then we started curating content around industry. So whether you're an AI startup or a startup in general, there's an area around how you can use AI for your business. If you're in CPG, energy, fintech, we've sort of curated all of this content. That way, it's easy to find AI content that makes sense for you. As you go through, like our Facebook page that we created was ChatGPT for business and life. So we do have AI for kids, teens, and parents. We also have great podcasts. Whether it's Lex Friedman or Creativity Squared with Helen Todd, we have TED Talks and a lot of AI conferences that we pulled in. So all in one place. And what we found that's sort of magical about this is that by pulling in around 6,000 videos, we could then train an AI to help us navigate and help others navigate our Netflix-like environment for AI. So utilizing a RAG-based system, customgpt.ai, we were able to train the AI on all of the videos. So if you are interested, what is a neural network for beginners? So we're going to ask the AI, what is a neural network? That's sort of a term that gets thrown around and it's sort of complex. But through our AI, it's telling us a neural network in the context of artificial intelligence and machine learning is a computational model inspired by the way biological neural networks in the human brain process info. So it's given us a very nice definition and some things in a simplified manner. But what's really cool, it went out to our video aggregation platform, found a video that you should watch that may help you exactly understand what it is you're looking for in that question. So you're able to interact with the chatbot no matter where you're coming from to recommend content that may make sense for you. So though there's 6,000 pieces of content and videos in this platform, we've tried to make it that it's very standardized, that you can find content that makes sense for you. If you ask if you're in a certain industry, like I am in healthcare, how can I use AI for my business? It will generate an answer based on the training data that it has in it, and then hopefully give us some really nice links on content that would make sense for us. So how can you use AI if you're in healthcare? Patient diagnostic and treatment recommendations, predictive analytics for patient care, operational efficiencies, drug discovery and development, personalized medicine, remote monitoring, telehealth, and administrative tasks. So we're seeing all of those being impacted by AI. And then we're given 3 different videos to watch, whether it's the business of AI, what healthcare could look like in 10 years with CB Insights. There's a Stanford webinar on how artificial intelligence can improve healthcare and how to use AI to find win-win solutions with Georgetown University Hospital. So as you can see, there is a nice navigation platform that the AI is trained on to best push us to content that works for us. So that was the first step in our thought process on how can we provide education to this gigantic group of people that we have that need some education on AI or want to learn more about AI. We felt this would be a great way to provide content and meet everybody exactly where they're at in their sort of AI journey. We have added a couple other things. One thing that I think is really nice are ChatGPT and AI cheat sheets. So what we've been able to do is compile and like use Pinterest's API and find all the great artificial intelligence sort of posters or one pagers and sort of compile them all in one place. That way you don't have to search all over the internet. You can sort of find all the best sort of shared content around AI posters. From that, we were like, well, if we do this, we can probably add events. So we've been working on creating an event calendar platform that you can find AI events online or in your city. That'll be coming soon. And one of the other really cool things that we found is that since there's so many tools coming in with AI, sometimes it's just hard to find the content that you need. Like when we talk about AI foundational models and you're hearing like ChatGPT or Claude or Anthropic's Claude or Gemini, all that sounds great, but where are they located? So we built a really simple way that you could see the foundational model and have very easy to read and review overviews. And then if you are interested, you can always just click the button and go right into the platform. So just trying to connect everybody easily to some of the solutions you're going to be using. The last thing that I'll add is that we realize that some people will need a little bit more guided help. So we've started building out courses, and we're going to start launching these that are a little bit more focused and tracked. Like if you want to build a custom GPT.ai RAG-based AI, we have a nice curriculum that walks you through it. That way you're not trying to build systems on your own. And what we found, some of these systems out there are just commonplace. ChatGPT, learning how to like set up your account and use it. Setting up Anthropic. If you're interested in using Notion or Perplexity, we have some basic courses just around tools, but then we also have some about reskilling the workforce or how AI is going to impact cybersecurity or law. Like Paul said, I was able to utilize AI to defend myself pro se, sort of self-represented. In a court case on the criminal side, because I built an accessory structure on my property that I was able to actually get dismissed. And I was able to use my knowledge of AI and my new encountering with the law that wasn't sort of my intention to get a really good outcome. And I know that we've seen a lot in the legal profession where lawyers have gotten in trouble for quoting the wrong citations or the case laws. And I think, honestly, that was probably more user error or not knowing how to fully control AI. So we have this sort of course designed on how we feel AI and the legal industry is going to sort of merge. We have some really other industry specific courses that we plan to offer and build out. And our goal is that we just sort of be this conduit between where you're at in your AI journey and where you planned to sort of go. We still have a tech company. My company's primary hosting. This is much more designed for like a community platform. And we hope that people find it handy and useful. And I appreciate all the work and some of the partnerships that I've been able to develop to make this happen. So,
Chris, this is fantastic. We've got a couple of questions on chat, if I may.
Sure.
Jack asks, is there a way to filter the videos by current days or by date?
Okay. Yes, absolutely. I should turn it on to that. Like, I'm absolutely interested in whatever feedback I get right now. This is totally iterative. If that's something that we would like to have, absolutely, I'll turn that functionality on so it can be by date. What's really nice too is that the mechanism that we're aggregating content in, like let's say there's certain channels that we trust around AI, like Paul's channel, we trust. And with it being a trusted content producer, when they produce content, it auto aggregates over to us. So where possible, we're trying to put that human in the loop to make sure the content is of high quality. And if we know that's a high quality provider, we're going to enable that to come to us as quickly as possible. That way it gets delivered to you as quickly as possible.
Chris, this is really good. So simplistic at a high level. So I guess all the questions you went through, someone could go to Google or Custom GPT and ask the question. If they come to this site, what's the benefit? Is it's higher quality? Is it content that's not in those other areas?
What I find is that, for instance, YouTube would be the closest competitor, obviously, and we're leveraging the YouTube API. When you're in YouTube, it's dealing with search history, and then you're dealing with the latest, like whether a couple weeks ago was the Super Bowl or whatever's the biggest thing in the news where YouTube's trying to get you to watch, or the next Mr. Beast video. So it becomes so nebulous to navigate that we felt that if we turned the billions of videos that are on YouTube into the best curated content location of videos, it would be valuable. So that's sort of our goal, is that if you come here, you can see AI content and not be led astray to down a rabbit hole that YouTube usually opens up.
That's fabulous. There's some questions. Adam's got a question. Go ahead, Adam. Thanks for raising your hand. Oh, Adam, do I have to unmute you somehow? Adam, can you hear us? What I need to do here.
There we go. Thanks. No, I just want to pile. Chris, this is fantastic. First of all, thank you and appreciate your time joining us. Good to see you again. The comment I've heard is, for a long time their content was king, and we're now in content abundance, right? And curation is king. And for someone who understands this stuff to be able to find the information and pull it together in a manner so that we don't have to is just invaluable. It's fantastic.
That is a fabulous quote there, Adam. So content used to be king, curation is king now. Excellent. Who else has got a question for Chris? So Chris, what's the and how did you build this, and how long did it take?
Okay, so I've always thought about this sort of concept. And in fact, during COVID, I built a platform that I combined the YouTube API and Spotify and made my own MTV. Okay, so like if you had like a jukebox downstairs or something like that in your man cave, now I have a video system. So I built that, and I was really impressed with what you could do with video aggregation. And I'm sort of an open source coder at heart. So I built this one open source. I am pretty technical. I am able to sort of process a lot of information typically. So living in that WordPress open source world for a long time, there's just a lot of cool tools that you can run a learning management system, and you can run APIs, and you can add an amazing AI, because you know Alden at Custom GPT that could give a backbone to search with this retrieval augmented generation to really create this cool AI navigator that was beyond my skill set. So I think it's really great to be able to compile certain things in a way that the whole is more than the sum of its parts. So I don't know if that's very helpful, but I did use WordPress, something called BuddyPress, a learning management system called LearnDash, which is an awesome open source solution. And then really leveraging the YouTube API. So thank you, Google. I think that's very great that you enable us to use this content. What's interesting, if you're wondering like the cease and desist stuff, like, I mean, winging it, but according to what I've read, YouTube terms of service, like if everyone's in compliance with YouTube terms of service, they ask the takedown request, or take their content down from YouTube, and it takes it off our channel. So that's how we're handling sort of the embeds and the API for content. But with that, we got Robert Downey Jr. on our site, and BBC and NPR, and like every major CNBC, ABC, CBS, everybody that's done a segment on AI in one place. And some of this stuff's really good, but it just gets lost. The other thing that's really amazing, that if you have someone that really wants to take a deep dive into AI, all the free coursewares that we've heard around these major universities for years, they're almost all here around AI. So if you want to take courses from MIT, you're not going to take the course in class, but you can watch the entire course load. And if you get through that, I promise you're going to learn something. You can also take Stanford. There's University of Toronto. If you want to learn from Jeffrey Hinton or Jan LeCun or the major players in AI, they're all in this system. And I think it's very important to see what Sam Altman's saying, or Greg Brockman, or really just all these great conversations that are being had. And even in like this community right here, so many people need to hear this. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people need to hear what we're saying right now. And I think it's just hard for everybody to find the community or the place where it's at. So hopefully by adding this like AI for Netflix or Netflix for AI solution, it's sort of a home that you can find unique content you might not stumble over in other use cases.
Fabulous, Chris. One more question, then we'll go open mic. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, well, first of all, Chris, this is just genius, man. This is fantastic. Well done. And I had two questions for you. One is, what kind of behavior are you seeing on the site? Like, how are people navigating it, if you're tracking that? And the second thing is, where do you think this is going, and pick a time frame, 6 months, a year, or so forth?
That's a pretty good question. Like, so 6 months to a year, like, I think I want to wrap this in an Android and iPhone app and maybe build an Android iPhone app. I think I can do that fairly quick. We built this in probably about a month's time, going to Alden and just Paul and your influence too. Like, how could we build a really great ecosystem is one of the things I was trying to solve. The other thing I was trying to solve was, like, with Facebook feed being so fast, how do you build a place that all this value that we're sharing sort of has a home? So I'm hoping that that value gets better over the next several months. Maybe the user experience gets better over the next several months. And then we find contributors, new contributors that sort of gain a voice and we can learn from. I think we're now in this area where generative AI is here. And there's a lot of smart people out there that I think that if we look at this stuff collectively, we can learn a lot. So that's where I definitely see it going over the next few months.
And you haven't tracked enough behavior to have any patterns or so forth? Because Netflix learns so much, about even how to classify and how people consume and so forth.
Okay, so great question. So this just launched. Like, we sort of like mentioned it, and I sent it around to a few friends over the last week. This is the first sort of launch of this. So far, we're getting people to stay on the site for about 8 minutes. We have a couple hundred views so far, uniques. So it's brand new, but from what I know, it's better than 15 seconds. They're staying around for a little bit.
That's great. Go ahead, Alden.
Yeah, so what you've done here, Chris, is just outright amazing. And as Adam had mentioned, that curation is now going to be king. So you're definitely on to something. Now that people can generate videos and content by the billions, the focus will change towards curation and what is the one trusted site that people can really go to. So you become like the NPR of AI, basically.
Oh, that's so interesting. So the question isn't, do I trust this content? The question is, do I trust this curator?
Correct. Yeah. So that's why one of the things for Chris will be like, to build the trust factor, add in experts, and do registration, build loyalty, all of those things. Like, it's basically the NPR playbook that will need to be followed.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Thank you, Chris. Can the community help curation? Do they do thumbs up, thumbs down?
I should turn that on. Like, and it's really, you can definitely add watch lists.
Yeah.
There's all types of things. Like, we could get into the point where you could like upload your own video, like, but there's just like, where do you want to go? Like, this is very like, bootstrapped growth hack. sort of system that I just felt would help the community. Like, you know, because I was getting so many questions of like, hey, Chris, how do you generate images like DALL-E? How do you do images that are like movies? Okay, then how do you do industrial design with AI? And there's just so many parts coming at me all the time. I was like, you know what, let's find a place where I can say, you know what, check this place out and search. And if you do that, you might get your answer, you know. So it was really trying to free up my time and like help people as much as possible was sort of the goal initially. And what I found too is that 6,000 videos, maybe I've missed 4,000 videos of good quality AI content. But turns out on YouTube, it's a finite number and there's only so much good content on AI. And I promise the content that I have on there is really good. But you know, it's sort of a plateau. So we'll keep an eye out for what new comes in. But I think it can be a trusted source just because there's only so much valuable content that even exists out there. So thanks for showcasing us
That's
tonight.
great. Thanks, Chris. I'll keep going. Questions. Go Troy and then Chuck. Go ahead, Troy. Troy, can you unmute? All right, we'll come back to you. Go ahead, Chuck.
I'm
Yes.
here now.
Oh, go ahead, Troy.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I just had a quick couple questions. So it sounds to me like it sounds like this curation has actually been done exclusively by you. Is that the case? And then is there any plan to open that up? I really do like the idea of having, I would call trusted people to be able to add that content. And then also a community reinforcement factor could really help. This could get way out of hand for you really quickly. So do you have any kind of strategy past that? Because I think you need to plan for it.
Good call. Like, so right now I haven't really planned on the future. I just knew what I could do. So what I know I can do, I can curate playlists or channels. Or so if I go to, like, let's say BBC has a playlist of AI content, I can pull in that playlist and only that playlist. So that was like hand curated. So it was sort of a labor of love to build this out, going through that many videos. But I tried to trust, you know, if I would go to MIT's computer science, like 601 course, I trust that's good enough content. Like, I didn't watch it, but I'm running on assumptions for sure. But I'm trying to make really quality assumptions and not let in anything that's too hokey. Trying to avoid any like scammy sort of AI plays. How to make $1 million next week with AI. I'm trying to like avoid those. Trying to avoid the headless videos as much as possible too, because what Alden did say is like AI is creating videos, so there's only so many times you're going to want to see a base chat GPT response in Pictory and stick around. So like, I really tried to find who's the players that get the most content. In my background, I used to work with E-Entertainment and CBS and a lot of like sports teams that were professional. So I had that sort of background in media. So by building this out, like I do think it's a problem. I hope it becomes a problem and then we can employ people to help me solve it or, you know, curate it from the community. But let me know, join the group or DM me or get a hold of me if there's anything that you see that could be improved or bettered.
That's great. Go ahead, Chuck.
Hey, Chris, I think fantastic job. I loved it. I went on the site, played with it. It's pretty cool. I like the opening chat where you could ask, what are you asking for? I thought that was pretty cool. I do have a question on your platform. I think your platform is great, whatever you build. Does it also do text or is it only for videos?
So I was thinking I could do like a text aggregator for news for sure. And I've been playing around with that sort of concept, you know, like what comes to mind is like a Drudge Report scenario where just like hot links to like linking out to official sites. But I didn't push that out. And like one thing I found out, I used to build Twitter sort of like aggregator. So you could have all the thought leaders that have Twitter and pull those into your site. It's very expensive to use Twitter's API now. Like it used to be free and awesome. Now it's pretty expensive. And if you want the full payload, it's $42,000 a month. So
Wow.
So it's weird seeing that like in the future, the internet's sort of becoming islands now, and it's like a pay to play environment. So that's one thing I have learned in this. But any way I could aggregate information that makes sense, I try to. And you'll see my ChatGPT Facebook page. That's absolutely what it is. Whatever's the latest news of the day is definitely popping up in our group.
I see. Awesome. Thank you. Also, quick follow-up. Is the Twitter fees also for your own feed or just for everybody else?
I'm sorry. Ask it again.
If you're only like extracting your feed, there is a price for that too?
I don't create enough content. And that was probably one of the reasons I created this too. Like, I love the idea of doing a podcast, but it's too hard to compete with the world of amazing content out there. So for me, it was like, I've always been like, how do you just combine everybody and share that more fluidly? That way, when I do have something to input, it might be of value, but I've been able to fill the gap of the so much information that people like want to look at, not from me, that it's a balance. But I do look forward to seeing what I can do, maybe like pushing my stuff into it. But I do like the idea of like community curation. I think it's much more important to know what Sam Altman says than what I say right now.
Thank you so much.
Chris, fabulous job. Thank you so much. We'll really appreciate it. So we'll take the last few minutes to open mic. Open mic is when people can ask questions or share things. That's I can kick off. We use Google Workspace, and we've turned on Google Gemini for email, and so you can use it inside email. You can generate images inside slides, but I'm curious if anybody else has used it yet or got any feedback on it.
I would love a demo of that because I have Gemini, but I don't know how to do it.
Oh, I'm happy to do a demo if it's no other questions. Go ahead, David. I see David waving his hand. I think I've got to make you co-host because I messed up everything.
Hey, just want to make sure you have the momentum of this group to help you. Christopher, is there any one thing that we can keep in mind? Do you want to send traffic? Do you want us to buy something? Do you want us to offer stories? How can we help you?
Well, that's a great question. Like, so I run a tech business that I'm doing for my life. And then all of a sudden generative AI came out, and now I have a large group, which is awesome. It's an awesome community, but it's put me in a position where, I'm trying to build some things for business, some things for like, I'm sort of a startup tech sort of tinkerer. So how can I make this better? How can I get that support? I could definitely use traffic, I'm not planning on charging for this system, like I think that I've developed it in a way that we could scale it, and I don't think I have to like do too much on the sense of like deploying more capital to really make it operate. But I do run a startup, so I'm trying to build just a good network of people, and of trustworthiness. And in time, I'm sure I'm going to ask you to buy something probably around your technology stack, but that's not today.
You could throw like just a couple of Kickstarters or a FundMe or Patreon or something. Just not that you're begging. It's just like, hey, you want to, maybe a paywall behind it. Like, hey, if you want to enter something, you could give a minimum donation. There's a lot of things we could talk about, not necessarily now, but obviously we love what you're doing. We want to help.
Thank you so much, David. Love to follow.
I'll send you a note. This is what I do for a living, so we can talk about it later.
Great. Go ahead, Mike, and then we'll do a demo for Chuck. Go ahead, Mike. Melville.
Okay, this is a prompt question. When I'm writing up something on ChatGPT, and it gives me the, if I'm writing a letter, and it gives me something that's too long, and I say make it a little bit shorter. It'll take like 30 lines and put them into 3 lines. And then I say make it a little bit longer, and it puts it back to 30 lines. Does anyone know a prompt that will make it an in between, so it doesn't go from 3 to 30 and 30 to 3? I can go to, maybe 14 or something.
You can actually put in the number of words you want.
Okay, like so is there anything besides number of words? Because I probably wouldn't know the number of words I need.
You can say 3 minute long or 2 minute long. You can give any kind of
Like a
Add to the bottom.
1 minute reading or something like that?
Yeah,
Mike, you tried saying how many lines you wanted?
yeah, that's
Oh,
two.
that's good. 5 lines, 6 lines. Okay. Those are good things. Yeah, I can do number of words. Okay, and number of lines. That's great. Thank you.
Or you could say like double it or something like that.
Or double it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
It's
going
another
to say,
good
I sometimes have had some success with percentages. Like I'll say, make it 30% shorter. And it won't
it
do such a
30% shorter.
truncation
Okay.
you're experiencing.
That's a good way to do it. Okay, great.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Tim.
I think everybody pretty much said the same thing I was going to say, which is just be precise. You also just have to have some patience, because I've asked it many times, give me 1,000 words, and it gives me like 650, or, but the percentage works sometimes. The other thing is try one of the others. Try Claude, try, a few different ones if you're struggling with one particular model. They're not perfect at this, but you can usually get it into a range that's acceptable.
Thanks, Tim. Go ahead, RJ. Then we go to Lucinda.
Yeah, to answer Mike, the version of Copilot that's on Bing.com has a right-hand side panel that you can pop up if you hit the Copilot button on the right side of your Bing browser, and that opens up a writing tool that's powered by AI, GPT-4, and you can ask it to compose your email there, and it's created like an app sort of. So it has some buttons below that, what format do you want it? How long do you want it? So that's a way to access ChatGPT-4 for free, using the Bing.com browser and clicking on the Copilot button on the upper left right-hand corner to open up the side panel, and then click on the Compose tab, so you get all those features that I just told you about. Okay?
Great.
Yeah. So another aspect to this for specifying the amount of content, I have specified 1,500 words, and I've gotten them, right? Sometimes also, if you're kind of way deep into a conversation and it's kind of implicitly taking up your context window, start a new conversation and it kind of refreshes your context window, and then stuff it seems to get stuck on sometimes just goes away. So there are a few ways of kind of specifying the length of the content. But yeah, I've done that in the past. I asked for an onboarding process, and I said I wanted the 1,500, but this was after, multiple things, but 1,500 word plan along with a checklist at the end, and including best practices, blah, 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 right? For a 65-person IT consulting company, etc. So I gave a reasonably specific and precise prompt, said how long I wanted it to be, listed the outputs that I wanted, including the checklist, and it all came out really well.
That's great. Thanks, Lucinda. We'll go over just the 3 minutes here. Let me do the check request. So I'm going to show, so we use Google Workspace. Google's rolled out Gemini. Gemini is their renamed large language model that's inside now 3 of their productivity tools. And I'm going to show you what it looks like in Gmail, Gmail, Word doc, and the slides. So let me share my screen. So here, Lucinda or someone, can you see my screen?
Yep.
So down here's an email. So down here in the bottom, you have this plus thing says help me write. I click on that and you click over help me write. So I'm going to type in what I want, write. Thank you. Note to Chris for a great presentation at Learning Lab. And now it's created it, and I can thumbs up, some feedback, and I think, see here, if I want to use this, I hit, I can hit refine, I can shorten it, elaborate. recreate. And when I have something I like, I hit insert. It's now an email. And I could send it to Chris. So that's what it's the like inside an email. If I go to Word doc or a word processing document, I'll create a new document here. It looks like the standard document we have. Now up top though, we have help me write. Create business plan for startup. That is what it is. So I type in what I want, hit create. And it's not as fast as ChatGPT, but it will create. Executive summary, mission statement, marketing plan, financial plan, and then I could just hit insert and boom. I could cut and paste in OpenAI, but this is inside thing, which I think is inside people's workflow. So that was the email. This is the word processing. And the last one I'll show you is on slides, which is their PowerPoint. So here in slide, you could do image creation. So here over in the side, you'll see this little plus, create image with Gemini. Create image of rocket taking off. And it'll do the text to image here. And if I have something I like, I can just click it, and I think it goes right in there. You can also do it as a background. Oops. Create it as a background. It'll do, I believe this one will do it as a background for the entire slide. So anyway, so hopefully that shows what it. Go ahead, DJ. I think I've got to make you co-host tonight to hear you.
Yeah, no, I just had a quick question because, you know, I have my own Google Workspace, and we did get that option to enable the AI aspect part of it. I just wasn't sure what the fine print was, and what really lured me to stay away from it is depending upon the control in terms of privacy, right? Because of course, as we are generating these emails and taking the help of these tools, which is great in terms of efficiency, but also I wasn't really sure as to what information we are giving away, especially if it is related to work, being very careful in terms of what has been taken away from us in order to improve the efficiency as we move forward.
DJ, do you use Google now?
Yes.
What is your assumption on what they're doing with your Google emails right now?
I think it's probably locked in a private space, so I don't think anyone can have access to the Gmail part of it in terms of what we are doing. But overall, in general, I mean, in terms of these AI tools, the way I understand is, of course, it's got to be connecting to some larger LLMs in order for it to then interpret and give us the recommended content in terms of text or something. So I just wasn't really sure as to what's the sensitive information or whatever is getting passed back and forth in that context.
I think it's a good question. I don't know if Rosemary, you want to go next, and then we'll finish up. We'll go to Sharon and finish up. I think I'll make you co-host. Rosemary, can you speak now?
Yeah, I think I can. So
Okay.
have you tried it with any kind of Google Sheet work?
I have not. I can't remember if it does it. I know for sure it doesn't do meeting summary right now. I don't think it does Drive, which I know a lot of people want. I only spent 5 minutes with it. It's very limited. They did talk about how Google Meet meeting summary is coming. And I know I saw the announcement that Microsoft is talking about similar type of thing for OneDrive over on the Microsoft stuff. But no, I don't know what they're doing in Sheets.
And then can it also scan your emails and find things like what do I need to do from this client?
I don't believe, what I saw doesn't. What I saw is just creation on creating text within emails, creating text within a document, and creating images within slides.
So it's pretty expensive for that then. I can't remember what the price is, but I think it's overpriced for just that.
It's not trivial. I think it's $15 per user. You know, and we've got, I don't know, 17, 18 Rs, and I still say, guys, only 4 or 5 are going to get this. This is on top of what you're already paying.
Right.
The fact that Microsoft and Google's pushing, you know, pricing for these things is breathtaking for large companies. So it'll be interesting to see how that ends up.
Thank you.
Great. Go ahead, Sharon, and then we'll finish up the meeting.
Okay, quick question. Apologies if it's very rudimentary. I created
No, all questions are welcome here, Sharon. So please.
Okay, so I used ChatGPT to generate names for a client project. It vastly accelerated my efforts and got me a great list of names. So I thought, okay, I'm going to create a GPT for other people, but it's trained on all of this work I've already done. And somebody that uses that won't have that training, right? It'll be trained on what they've done. Don't I have to untrain my GPT? Does that make sense?
Thanks. So let me share my thing, and Adam and other smart. It doesn't train. It's already been trained. It learns within a chat, but it doesn't learn within a cross chats. So it's not learning on your data. There's a 0.0002% chance that something you put in a chat gets into the logs and gets trained on it, but that's a 0.0%. But it's not learning on your data in general.
But you can give it data. It will learn. If you can upload files and give it data of your own if you want, and it's not like fine tuning or RAG, but it will definitely use your data.
But when I was trying to test it out now and followed my prompts, it gave me answers that reflected work I had done 5 days ago unrelated to it. And so I thought that GPT then won't work for somebody else because it gave me the right answers, but it was based on stuff I had done a week ago.
Can I say one thing? It depends on how you gave the data. If you loaded the files with your chat GPT, like custom GPT, then they will be with that custom GPT. If you didn't load the files, but if you only gave instructions on how to do it, then your data won't be there.
Right.
Okay. Got it.
You can upload files.
Okay. But then I can't test it because I'm getting the answers I want, but somebody else might not get that answer.
Yeah, that's the problem with these models in general. The test, you don't get predictive results.
Are you talking about having a lower level version that you can just make available? Is that a simple answer?
Yes. And so I built this little, and I easily get the answers I want. I solve for this name. Okay, here's the name. How do I? But no one else will have gone through what I did 2 weeks ago that it says, oh, she rhymed it. I didn't put that into that GPT, but it saw that I had done that when I needed a name for Nike. It saw that and it put it into my name GPT. That it started spitting out rhymes when I didn't tell it to. So it told me that it was learning from things I had done 2 weeks ago, independent of this particular GPT.
Yep. It's not reasoning. It's just matching based on statistics of the words you use. So if it sees rhymes, it'll try and make more rhymes. It's just statistics.
Okay. So for others, I need to build that in. It's not.
You have to think about what you want the outcome to be. What do you want the result for the other person to be? But so it can get a little more complicated because, yeah, you're kind of training Paul had this great phrase of, an intern, but it's a really kind of a slow intern is the way to think about it. So,
okay.
And the other thing I would say on top of all this in the training, I'm sure lots of people here, because we're on LinkedIn a lot, are getting all these write for this collaborative article and demonstrate your expertise. What do you think they're doing? That is an LLM feeder that they are feeding right into so that they can get your expertise out of your brain and into their LLM for this much money.
Oh, interesting. Oh, fascinating. Very good.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's, this is the, money makers will be money makers, and they will figure out how to get you to do their bidding if you are not very skeptical and careful.
Super. Thanks, everyone.
I think that's the name of this group.
Very skeptical and careful.
But I guess guarded interest or guarded enthusiasm.
Makes sense.
Adam's hand is still up.
Yeah, thanks, Rosemary. I just want to say, Sharon, I know we've connected on LinkedIn. I'm happy to continue the chat there. I want to be sensitive of time. There are a few possible explanations for what you're describing, and I just want to make sure you saw what Rosemary put in the chat about memory for ChatGPT, which is a new capability that some people are starting to get, and it is possible that it's remembering and cataloging some of the behaviors from previous conversations. So. Most people, I don't have access to it yet, but it's something to look into as well. And like I said, I know we're already chatting because of the Seattle connection on LinkedIn. So let's just continue the conversation there.
Fantastic. Thank you. And I appreciate the memory suggestion. That might be it.
Did we lose Paul?
Yeah, I don't see him on there, and Lucinda is now the host.
So maybe we should close the meeting since it's 15
We'll just keep talking. We'll just keep hanging up. Go get some dinner and we'll just.
Yeah, okay. See everybody next Monday.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care, bye.
Thank you so much. This is great.